Hey there, CJ Matheson. So I'm going to help you out with homework 5.2, problem solving with equations. Today we're really going to focus on understanding what the variable is, writing an equation, and then solving that one-step equation. So I'll be doing the odds. The evens are very similar to the questions I do. So I encourage you to do a problem, pause the video, and then do an even. All right. Emily ran 18 miles less than James last week. Emily ran 8 miles. How many miles did James run? So what is x? X is the thing that we don't know, and that's James' amount of running. So what do we do? So we say, okay, James is x, right? And x less than, or 18 miles less than x minus 18 is equal to Emily's total, 8, right? So there we have our equation. Try and write it nice and neat. Go ahead and draw your Tetris. Change this to plus a negative, and then go ahead and work your problem. So we'll add 18 to both sides, and this cancels out. This drops down. X is equal to 18 plus 8, which is 26 miles. So A is your answer. And then if you think about that, if James ran 26 miles and Emily ran 18 miles less than James, it means Emily ran 8 miles. I'd pause and do number 2 if I were you. Number 3, how old is Ming if she will be 84 years old in 13 years? So what is x? X is definitely Ming's age. It's something that we don't know. Okay, so if you say x, in 13 years, she will be 84 years old. So that would be x plus 13 is going to be equal to 84. Okay, in 13 years, if you add it to x, it will equal 34. That's exactly what that's saying. So draw your Tetris. Please put a plus sign down, plus a negative 13. If you wanted to put the minus 13 because there's nothing but positives in this problem, you could also do that. Right? These cancel out. X gets brought down. X is equal to 84 plus negative 13, which is a DSSM, different sign, subtract, to keep us out of more. So you're just subtracting here and we get 71. That makes sense. If you take 71 and you add 13 to it, you get her age in 13 years, which is 84. So it's a good way to check your answer there. Right? Pause the video and do number 4. Number 5. Last Friday, Gabrielle had $11. Over the weekend, she received some money for her birthday. She now has 30. How much money did she receive? So what is x? The money she received, right? Okay, so we're going to say she started with 11. I'm going to add x amount of dollars to that, and I'm going to end up with 30. Makes sense, right? She had 11. She got some money, x, which we don't know, and then she ended up with 30. So we're going to ahead draw our Tetris here. And I'm going to start on this side because the variable's on the left side. I see a positive 11. I could subtract 11, or I could add negative 11 to both sides. Again, DSSM, different sign, subtract. It's the same thing as just subtracting 11 from both sides. Bring down x. 30 minus 11 gives you 19. So she received $19. Does that make sense? If you start with 11, if you add up 19, what do you get? You get 30, which is exactly how much she ended with. Good way to check. Pause the video and do number 6. Number 7. Callie wants to buy a sled for $46.64. She gives the cashier 50. What is her change? So what's x? The x is what's her change, right? Basically, we could set this up as giving the cashier $50 minus 41.60. We could do this a different way. Sorry, we could say no. We could set it up 50 minus 41.64 is equal to x. There's also that's probably the easiest way to set it up. I'm going to write it a different way. You could also go ahead and say, if I wanted to say 50 minus x is equal to 41.64. There's a couple implications about negatives in that one, but we'll hold off. So this is just saying, okay, $50, I'm going to subtract 41.64 from it. We need to do a whole lot of borrowing here. 836. And that makes sense because if you add 836 to 4164, you'll get 50. I'd pause the video and do number 8 if I were you. Number 9. how many boxes of envelopes can you buy with $40 if one box costs $50? So what are we trying to figure out? X is how many envelopes, how many boxes. And we're trying to figure out, okay, if one box costs $5, X boxes cost $40, right? So we can say our equation is 5 times X is equal to 40. Remember that this right here means multiplication. So to undo multiplication, we don't add to both sides, we divide. So we're going to divide. Inverse operation of multiplication is division. So we're going to divide, and I get X is equal to 8. So that makes sense. I can buy 8 boxes of envelopes if one box costs 50, because 8 times 5 would give me 40. It's a good way to check your answer. I'd pause and do number 10 if I were you. Number 11, at a restaurant, Callie and her 8 friends decided to divide the bill evenly. If each person paid $18, then what was the total bill? So Callie and her friends, her 8 friends, is an interesting way to just go ahead and say, all right, first of all, we need to say the total bill is X. We need to go ahead and say, all right, Callie and her 8 friends are going to divide that total bill. So this total bill, X, is going to be divided by Callie and her 8 friends, which is actually 9. You have 1 plus 8, right? And that, when you do that, each person pays 18. So this is a one-step equation, and this is division. So the opposite of division is multiplication. Sorry, I should say this is division. So we want to multiply on both sides. So when we do that, I'll go ahead and say, all right, I'll multiply this side by 9 and multiply this side by 9. These cancel out. If you bear with me real quickly, I'll do a little demonstration. 9 times X is 9X over 9. And then look, we have something exactly what we had right here. 9 divided by 9 is equal to 1X, and 1X is just equal to X. This is a really long way of just going like that. Okay, so X is equal to 18 times 9. So if I do my multiplication off to the side here, I should get $162. D. I'd pause and try and do number 12. In fact, I'll help you out. How much money did they find is X. Money found is X. But they're dividing it, right? So X divided by he and his friend is 2 is equal to 19. Okay, very similar problem setup there. 13. John bought 9 colored markers for a total of $18. What did each marker cost? So cost per marker is X, right? So we're going to go ahead and say he said he bought 9 of them times X would give him his total of $18. So again, we have 9 times X. We're not going to add 9 to both sides or subtract 9 to both sides. This means multiplication, so we divide by 9. So I get X is equal to 18 divided by 9 is $2. And that makes sense because if I buy 9 markers for $2 each, I should end up paying $18. Good way to check. I'd pause and do number 14. All right, the last one has some fractions involved, and I want you to pay pretty close attention to this one. So a colony of ants carried away 28 of your muffins. That was 7/10 of all of them. How many are left? So muffins left are obviously X. And you're trying to figure out basically what is 7/10 of 28. So there's a couple ways you could write this. You could say 7/10 times 28 is equal to X. Another way you could write it is saying X over 28 is equal to 7/10. But let's just do it the most simplest way, which is this one. So first of all, to divide a fraction or whole number, you want to set it up as 2 fractions. So you just put 28 over 1. You look to cross cancel. We can cross cancel a 10 and a 28 by dividing by 2. This gives us a 5 and a 14. And when I multiply across, 7 times 14, do some multiplication off to the side here, gives you 8, carry it to 98 over 5. And then if we do a little division, 98 by 5 should be about 19.6. So, I mean, they took it's like they took a big bite out of a muffin and left you some crumbs, right? So in this case, X is equal to 19.6. Okay. I'd pause and rewind if I need to on that one, and then try and do number 16. Call me if you have a question.